On January 25th, 2024, Florida Highway Patrol probably thought they were pulling over just another truck on the turnpike. But sitting inside that Silverado were three men who had already spent way too much time on the wrong side of the law. The driver, Barbosa, was walking on thin ice with probation, and his buddies Montes and Reed carried their own stacks of convictions. Instead of stopping, they made the classic bad choice: hit the gas and see what happens. By the end of the day, the gamble failed. Barbosa, Reed, and Montes were booked into the Broward County Jail with no shortage of charges attached to their names. Barbosa's history with meth and marijuana only worsened his case. Reed's 8 prior felonies weighed heavily against him, and Montes stacked on new violent charges. What began as a chance to cooperate ended as another chapter in their already long criminal records. December 25th, 2023 was not just Christmas Day, it was also the morning a Dodge Charger decided to make itself the star of the show on Florida's Turnpike. Around 2:52 a.m., a trooper clocked the red muscle car screaming past at nearly twice the limit. Sitting behind the wheel was Gene Loom, who apparently thought a speeding ticket wasn't festive enough. So instead of stopping, he tried his luck with a high-speed escape. By the end of the pursuit, Loom's night of celebration had transformed into a laundry list of charges. From DUI and reckless driving to fleeing at high speed, the court filings read like a checklist of exactly what not to do behind the wheel. He even picked up a negligence charge after admitting to mixing alcohol and marijuana before driving. Instead of unwrapping presents on Christmas morning, he unwrapped the reality of a jail cell. On July the 17th, 2024, at 11:39 p.m., a driver in Clayton County turned a routine traffic stop into chaos. Deputies with the Black Hawk unit caught him flying down Interstate 75 at 101 miles per hour. It should have been a ticket and a stern warning, but instead that reckless choice opened the door to a chase that escalated at breathtaking speed.
Coming up to Jonesboro Road, traffic, the speed is 115, traffic light.
Good pit. Roll over. He's in the wrong lane.
By the time the chase was over, the suspect had lost more than just his car. He walked away, facing charges of reckless driving, fleeing law enforcement obstruction, speeding well beyond the legal limit, and damaging public property. His late-night gamble left him with nothing but handcuffs and a criminal record. On September 17th, 2025, a quiet afternoon on Interstate 40 turned into something far more dangerous. A blue Ford Mustang with no license plate slipped past an Arkansas state trooper who was parked on the shoulder ready to make routine stops. At first glance, it looked like a simple traffic violation. But when the lights came on, that Mustang didn't just slow down, it bolted, weaving through traffic with reckless abandon. That driver turned out to be Jamarius D. Butler, who admitted later that he ran just to avoid being caught with a single gram of marijuana. That reckless choice turned into a felony case stacked with charges speeding, reckless driving, fleeing, and carrying a weapon. Butler was hauled to the Crittenden County Detention Center, leaving his Mustang smashed and his freedom gone. It proves again that the road is never forgiving when bad decisions meet flashing blue lights. On February 21, 2024, one driver decided that the rules of the road and the law itself did not apply to him. Behind the wheel of a Wisconsin-plated Audi, Noel Almargo Petonguot made the fateful choice to run when Florida Highway Patrol troopers closed in. What started as a traffic stop opportunity instantly escalated into a desperate flight across Escambia County highways. With every reckless turn and wrong-way gamble, he was stacking the odds against himself.
Still coming up on Molina. And he's taking the right turn on Molina. Right turn Molina westbound, 482. He'll go get it real big and curve.
In the end, Trooper Pepitoni's pit maneuver brought the chaos to a crashing halt, flipping the Audi into a ditch before troopers moved in. Petonguot was pulled from the wreck and taken to Sacred Heart Hospital for evaluation. Beyond the broken metal, the paper trail painted an even darker picture: hit and runs in Florida and active felony warrants back in Wisconsin. Extradition or not, one thing was certain: his night of running proved that fleeing only adds to the wreckage left behind. On March 28, 2023, just before dawn in Little Rock, Arkansas, the quiet streets were anything but calm. Arkansas State Police Trooper Jacob Bird spotted a suspicious vehicle. Its tag expired and its driver acting anything but cooperative. Inside, multiple passengers shifted nervously, a picture-perfect setup for trouble. What started as a traffic stop quickly unraveled into something far more dangerous, with a firearm fear and split-second choices at play. When the dust settled, that secret lay in the form of a firearm tossed into the night and retrieved near a Walgreens. The driver's attempt to shift blame onto his passengers didn't do him any favors, especially when one woman admitted he held the weapon during the ordeal. With charges stacking up: unlawful possession of a firearm, fleeing coercion, and traffic violations, it was a long list for the booking desk.
You almost messed your eyebrows up.
Those are eyelashes, bro.
Whatever.
On September 7th, 2023, the streets of Little Rock turned into a racetrack long before sunrise. At just after 4:30 in the morning, Trooper Jackson Schumett was already out on patrol when a call came across the radio. Local officers were locked in a high-speed pursuit. The fleeing car wasn't just moving fast, it was tearing down the highway at a blistering pace that left no room for mistakes. And in the back of that dark sedan sat not one, but two suspects betting on speed to save them.
I had a 40-liter on 1037. Secondary now. Next 7 round. That's you. Base 120. Slow down.
In the end, troopers had both suspects on the ground, their vehicle disabled, and a long night of poor decisions etched into the police report. Charges ranged from felony fleeing and reckless endangerment to resisting arrest and carrying stolen property. In the end, a simple choice to stop could have spared them the chaos, but instead, the pavement of Little Rock bore witness to another high-speed disaster. On May 14, 2022, a request for backup came in from Smyrna Police Department. A Kia speeding through Atlanta was refusing to stop, and the call quickly made its way to Georgia State Patrol. With adrenaline rising and traffic flying by, troopers positioned themselves to take over the pursuit. Among them was Trooper Ennis Unit 797, who would soon find himself at the center of a high-speed showdown on Interstate 75.
Tell you what happened. Pace attempted. Great attempt. Forward. Got a big gas coming up 797.
After multiple attempts, it was Trooper Ennis's decisive Pete that finally spun the Kia off course, smashing into the barriers and leaving it dead in the water. Both occupants were pulled out and arrested their reckless gamble, ending with Smyrna Police Department handling the charges. What started as a desperate sprint turned into a hard stop, courtesy of a trooper who refused to back down. On March 11, 2023, the night air over Atlanta was anything but quiet. Around 3 in the morning, traffic on Interstate 20 became the stage for two speed demons, a Dodge Charger and a Tesla Model 3 racing side by side at breakneck speeds. The Dodge peeled off into the city streets, but the Tesla, piloted by a driver with more adrenaline than common sense, chose to push his luck. What began as a simple radar reading at 167 miles per hour would quickly spiral into a full-blown pursuit. By the time the chase came to an end, the Tesla was left crippled against a concrete median wall. The driver, later identified as Joseph Smith, reeked of alcohol and was taken to the hospital for evaluation before facing the consequences of his reckless choices. He now carries warrants tied to that night, a sobering reminder of how one bad decision can dismantle not just a car, but a future. In the end, the thrill of speed cost him more than he bargained for. July 8, 2023 started as just another afternoon in Conway, Arkansas, until a gray Ford Mustang turned the highway into its personal racetrack. Local officers with the Conway Police Department gave chase, but this was no ordinary traffic stop gone wrong. As the Mustang pushed past 100 miles per hour, weaving through cars and tossing suspicious bags from the window, It was clear this wasn't just about a speeding ticket. That's when the Arkansas State Police stepped in, knowing the stakes had just skyrocketed.
Trip 18, 63 to net for Adam 68.
He just threw out narcotics right before the 127. Excuse me, 125. That's the 125 now.
That's the 125 exit.
That's the 125 threw out the narcotics.
Copy that.
After a high-speed clash that ended with a violent spin into the cable barrier, the Mustang was done, and so was the driver's luck. Derek Blevins bolted into the median grass only to be quickly taken down while his passenger, Shelby Hoffman, was detained at the scene. Officers recovered methamphetamine thrown from the car, adding even more to the long list of charges against Blevins. In the end, his reckless sprint across Arkansas highways was nothing more than a gamble he could never win. The calendar had just turned to the new year, January 2nd, 2023, and 19-year-old Matthew Gaskins was already making headlines for all the wrong reasons. He was a wanted man tied to investigations across nearly every corner of the Atlanta metro area. That morning, East Point Police and Georgia State Patrol moved in to arrest him. But Gaskins wasn't interested in surrendering. Sitting behind the wheel of a stolen Jeep, he had one thing on his mind: escape. The pursuit ended violently with the Jeep crippled after colliding with a power pole, leaving Gaskins no choice but to surrender. Taken into custody without further incident, he now faced charges from more than half a dozen agencies, each ready to hold him accountable. Property was damaged, troopers' nerves were tested, and yet no lives were lost. At just 19 years old, Gaskins learned the hard way that no stolen car and no amount of running will ever outrun the law. In the early hours of May 4th, 2025, a Florida Highway Patrol trooper spotted something every officer dreads: an overconfident driver pushing a machine to its limits. The car was a Toyota Supra, sleek, fast, and already well past 90 miles per hour. On the stretch of the Gandy Bridge with water on either side and no room for mistakes, the driver had a choice to make. Unfortunately, he made the worst one possible. He refused to stop.
74, 1039, so right to two-door. Email showing expired last from 44335. You advise that vehicle is stopped. That's not even numbers in traffic.
The pursuit ended violently with the Supra striking a pole and bursting into flames. Miraculously, both the driver, Brandon Ramnarine, and his 32-year-old passenger survived with injuries that did not take their lives. Brandon now faces charges for fleeing at high speed, a decision that could have cost him far more than a court date. At the end of the night, the bridge was left scorched, the Supra destroyed, and one driver learning that arrogance burns brighter than tail lights. September 20th, 2023 should have been just another late shift for Arkansas State Police Trooper Lucas. But instead of quiet roads, he got front row seats to the Fast and Foolish show, two cars racing side by side, clocking speeds that would make any speedometer cry. One of them, a white Dodge Challenger, thought it could outrun the law at 160 miles per hour. Let's just say that was the dumbest decision of the night. The driver, identified as 20-something thrill-seeker Dimitri Barton, quickly learned that metal barriers and police tactics don't bend to ego. His passenger, Amparo Lopez Gomez, walked away with a painful shoulder and the bitter memory of begging him to stop. Barton was processed at the Pulaski County Detention Center after a hospital check cleared him, now facing charges that will stick longer than any fleeting rush of speed. It is yet another story where arrogance hit the gas and reality slammed the brakes. February 15, 2024. The afternoon sun cast long shadows across the highway as traffic rolled steadily along. But in that calm stream of cars, one blue SUV broke the rhythm, moving aggressively, cutting through lanes and forcing others aside. Arkansas State Police Trooper Tyler Ashcraft noticed instantly, and in that moment, the calm afternoon transformed into a high-speed test of nerve skill and recklessness.
We got a TDI.
The suspect's flashy display of speed ended abruptly with a PT maneuver that sent the SUV spinning off the road. He tried to salvage his pride by sprinting on foot, but with officers already closing in, the run was short-lived. He was taken into custody and later faced a string of charges for his reckless choices. At the end of the day, his story became just another cautionary tale of someone who gambled with speed and lost to patience training and a steel bumper. On a quiet November night in 2024, Interstate 30 was supposed to be just another stretch of highway. But one driver stood out, pushing a silver Jeep Grand Cherokee far beyond the construction zone speed limit. When troopers approached the man behind the wheel, identified as Bernard Williams, the third barely cracked his window, mumbled about his license, and scrolled through his phone like nothing was wrong. But the sight of marijuana residue on his lap told a different story. The calm of the stop was about to snap in the worst way.
Please, 120.
TBI, about the 109, roll over 1016, please. Do not rush the vehicle.
By the next morning, Bernard Williams was tracked down and taken into custody near a truck stop. His list of charges stacked like a bad poker hand: fleeing in a vehicle, fleeing on foot, reckless driving, possession of marijuana, and even criminal mischief for the damage left behind. Add in speeding, no seatbelt, no insurance, and it was a masterclass in poor decisions. In the end, Williams proved one thing: when you turn a traffic ticket into a high-speed disaster, the only guarantee is that the law will catch up. This might be the end of today's chase, but trust me, the highway drama doesn't stop here. Head over to the next video to see just how intense these pursuits can get. The more you watch, the more you'll realize every chase has its own twist. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe to follow along.